Hello, I'm Doug Walters, and welcome to The Reflective Leader, and my co-host, Dr. Tony Marchese. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Good. A leader always should feel well. You know that.
That's exactly right.
Well, for those of you that have been following the program, you know that we've been talking about elements that improve and enhance effective leadership, no matter what the leadership position may be. And so for the last several programs, we've talked about emotional intelligence, and we will get back to that in some later episodes of the show. But we feel at this particular point we want to sort of look at the agenda and add a couple of additional elements that we believe impact and work with and help support effective leadership. And so today we're going to talk briefly about one and then begin in-depth discussion about another. The one that we're going to hold off until a little bit later, because Tony is the expert in this one, and that is about strengths and based upon the research by the Gallup organization. But today we're going to begin our dialogue and discussion about what we call social styles, which is based upon the research by Dr. David Merrill, and using and developing an understanding of social styles. So we're going to start off by doing something publicly that maybe a lot of people wouldn't be willing to do, and that is to talk about our personal strengths after we identify the four. And Tony, are you ready for this?
So we're going to talk about the social styles.
We're going to talk about the social styles.
Yeah,
social styles.
Sure.
We don't want to get into strengths right now because you can be overpowering sometimes. You know how that is. But anyway, social styles is based upon a concept that there are four quadrants in which people fall into. And the four styles are analytical, driver, amiable, and expressive. And we'll talk about each of those in a few moments after Tony reveals where do you fall in the style category.
Well, I'd like to say before we do that, you know, this really made sense to me, Doug, when we had a conversation. I know it was several years ago when we were working together in post-secondary education, and I don't know if I was having an issue with somebody or if I was confused about someone's behavior, but it's sort of like, I think we all have met someone, maybe in the workplace, maybe the doctor's office, maybe at the store, and we have some communication with them, and within a few seconds we're like, you know, that person really rubs me the wrong way, or I really, really resonate with this person, and I can't really put my finger on what that specific thing is.
Right, right.
And I know, like I said, this was several years ago, we were having this conversation, and you said, well, it's all about social styles. And I said, well, what are social styles? And you started talking about, you know, the work that you had done, I think it was well over 20 years ago when you started doing it as a form of professional development with educators.
Right.
And as you were explaining this all to me, it really, really made sense. And so I guess I was so interested in it that you decided to have me tested.
I did.
And
having you tested is really something else, I'm telling you.
Well, it was so interesting because so often, you know, instruments, psychometric instruments, different things like that are often self-reporting. But with this particular instrument, it was something that others that are closely associated with you complete on your behalf.
That's right.
And so I'm trying to remember how many people you asked me to.
Well, the protocols for it call for 5 people at a minimum, or 7. For whatever reason, they don't like even numbers, and you never really want to go below 5. And then the other element is that you want to select 5 individuals with whom you interact on a regular basis and should be over a relatively long period of time.
But I think you say not family.
No, no family.
Okay.
No family, because one's style, as we call it, is quite different potentially with family members, even though there are probably some elements that will carry over that are the same, but you do not use, any kind of family member.
So social styles basically have to do with how we interact with other people.
Well, and how we're perceived in that interaction.
Which goes to the instrument. So a person selects 5 people with whom they're closely affiliated.
Right.
Those 5
Right.
people complete an assessment on your behalf, I believe with specific words, and they have to choose words that specifically describe you.
There are descriptors in each of them, and one of the challenges many times when I'm working, and we're working with clients, as you well know, they will say, wait a minute, these 4 terms don't fit Tony at all, any of them. Well, what we would say to them is that, yes, there's at least one that approximate some style characteristics that he has. And so we want you to complete the entire instrument with that in mind. And then what we do, as you well know, is we take the results of that survey, we analyze it, and then we do a development of a charting matrix that we develop on each individual.
And this is something that's been done, I know we've done this with executive coaching. We've done it when working with large groups, large organizations, when we've provided technical assistance and professional development. And let's go back to me. So I completed, my associates completed the items, and they submitted them to you. You calculated the results, and we found out that I had a primary social style and a kind of a secondary, and they were driver, analytical.
Driver, analytical.
And I was just so surprised.
Oh, I mean, we were all shocked. We were all shocked. And of course, so that the audience understands the 2 styles, let's talk about each of them. Analytical is almost self-explanatory.
Why don't we start with driver, since that was my primary?
Okay, you want to start with driver?
Yeah.
See, now you're in control now already taking control. Up. So a driver is basically what it sounds like. That individual is going to step up to the plate, so to speak, to use the baseball analogy. He's going to step up to the plate, she's going to step up to the plate, take command, will lead, make decisions, have high expectations, get things done, has a sense of pride about himself or herself. Those are some of the basic elements that are descriptive adjectives for the driver. But they're the ones that in the organization will sort of keep everybody else, I don't like to use the term in line, but keep them motivated, headed in the critical direction of in order to meet the goals of the organization.